Hey everybody, Jim LeDuc here, Psycho Jim, Psychology. I just wanted to share with you a another story with a lesson to it, and this one's about trust. Very important lesson. I'm very studious today because of my glasses, but I wanted to tell you a story about trust and relationships. So, um, when Lori and I first got married, before I was when I got into teaching, I was actually in sales, and I was in sales administration. I was actually national sales manager for an up and coming company in the local area here in Corona. And to protect the innocent, I can't divulge names, but it was one of the fastest growing companies in the country. We went from about 2.5 million in sales when I joined until about 35 million in 3 years, and on up to 50 million a couple of years after that, after I was gone. But anyway, as my wife and I started a family, we had a few kids, and I got this great job. Well, let me back up. Before I had that job, I had a regional sales management position, and I was traveling in about 11 states. And our family was really young, and I remember it was really hard for us when we first were going, because my wife, she was taking care of the kids. She was working part time. We had daycare. We had after school care, and it was rough. And I remember it was rough on her. It was rough on me. I was never home. It was like I was a guest in my own home. All the children went to mom if they needed anything, and mom went to me if she needed discipline. So it wasn't a good situation at all. And so I remember, I'll never forget a movie that's one of my favorites, and you've probably seen it, The Shawshank Redemption. In that movie, one of the characters, Tim Robbins, actually says to Morgan Freeman, he says, "Get busy living or get busy dying." And when I thought about how hard it was to be married, not that I didn't love my wife and she didn't love me, and not that we weren't faithful to each other, we were, but it was just hard. I was gone all the time. It was very difficult. And I remember one time thinking about it one night when I was in a hotel room feeling sorry for myself. And the words came to me similar to that movie, only the words went like this: get busy being married or get busy getting divorced. There's no middle ground. You can't just survive. So get busy doing one or get busy doing the other. And I remember thinking, well, I'm going to get busy being married because that's what I wanted more than anything. And we had a great family. We loved our kids. And so when I traveled, and I traveled a lot, I drew a line in the sand, and I used to stay as far away from that line as I could, as far as being faithful and not putting myself in situations where opportunities could arise where I could be tempted maybe to cheat on my wife or something. Not that I had any intention of it. Usually at the end of a workday, I'd get something in like room service or something, get a hamburger, and just go to my room and watch sports and call home and call it a day because my days were pretty long. But I did see a lot of people out on the traveling circuit that were gone a lot. I saw a lot of them that were alcoholics. I saw a lot that were cheating on their spouses, and that was not going to be for me. So I tried to avoid that situation. Sometimes I'd go out with customers and I'd get my Diet Coke and they'd drink away, and that was the way it was. And if they went clubbing or dancing, I just said, you know what, I'm tired. I'm going to go home, or they'll go to the hotel and give my wife a call and see you tomorrow. Well, anyway, fast forward several years, and a job came up locally. It was a great job. It was like triple my pay. And like I said, I need to change the names just in case they're still around. But I went in to the job interview, and hundreds of people could have got the job. I mean, it was an amazing opportunity. I knew one of the owners, but I didn't know the major owner, and he was he was an intense guy. I mean, his grandparents, got on a boat and got out of Cuba and make their way across here with nothing, and started their family in the United States. And they were a family that believed in the American dream, and I got to respect that. Why wouldn't I? So I went to interview this major owner of this company. It was a pet company, and I sat down and we talked a little bit. I gave him a little bit of my background, and he asked me this question. He said, "Why should I hire you? Why should I hire you?" And I thought about that, and I thought about that for a moment or two. And then I said two things. Now, remember, this was before cell phones, because I'm an old guy. And I said, well, I like to send out personalized handwritten thank you cards, to thank customers for spending their time with me. I always like to put a personal touch on it. He liked that. He said, I need to do that, more of that. So that kind of hit home a little bit. And I said, but the main reason why you can trust me is because you'll never have to worry about what I'm doing on the road. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't party, I don't do drugs, I don't mess around. I'm married, I have kids. I will work hard for you, I will be honest. And then I said this, you can trust me that no matter where I am or what I'm doing, I would never do anything to disrespect you or your company. And I will always represent you in a way that you'd want to be represented if you were there. And so he thought about that for a minute and basically said, you're hired. Now you can't say something like that if you're not telling the truth. If you're going to go out and party and mess around and stuff, you can't say that. He can see right through it. But I was sincere, and I stood behind it. And I told him, I'll never misrepresent you, and you can trust me with anything. I'll never do anything to break that trust. You're hired. So our company continued to grow, and every year we had this big exposition in Chicago. And owners of their businesses and big corporate owners like all the major retailers would be there. And we had a huge display of products. It was pet products. And I usually go in early with a couple of people and set up. So I went and set up. And before we went out, this owner, he was a hands-on guy. I had a lot of respect for him. He's very intense. Sometimes we didn't always see eye to eye business-wise, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. But he said, hey, when you're there, you're going to meet the new VP of sales. Oh, I got to back up. First off, we started working and business was growing. My part of the business was going very well. There were some glitches in our growth because it was so fast. And then one day, the same owner came to me and said, okay, I want you to train my sister-in-law, let's say Valerie. I want you to train Valerie. She has a real estate background. She doesn't know much about sales administration. I want you to teach her the ropes. And I said, me? I said, come on, why don't you let Ben do that? And Ben was the VP of sales, and he said, Jim, you're the man. You're going to do it. And I asked, so does that mean like it's Mary had a little lamb, and everywhere I go, she's sure to follow? He goes, yep, you're going to take her everywhere. I said, okay, whatever you say. So we started traveling together and teaching her the business. We got along okay. She was attractive, but I was not, I'm committed to my marriage. So I told her a few ground rules, like, okay, every morning we're going to meet in the lobby. So we end the day in the lobby, we meet up the next morning, we set up a time, and we go from the lobby. She said, that's fine. And so we started working. It was one of the first weeks we started working. And now I like to go to movies. So I like to go to manly man movies. I like 300. I like all the good ones. I like, the Manly Man movies, the Knights in Armor. Um, I loved Braveheart, all those good ones. Troy. So when I went out on the road, Top Gun, all those guy movies. So when I went on the road, usually I go see movies that I wanted to see because I knew my wife didn't want to see them. She liked the girly movies, the chick flicks. So I didn't go every night, but every once in a while I'd go if there was a new movie that I wanted to see that I knew my wife would want to see. So this one night, and we'd say bid our farewells at the end of the workday in the lobby. And she'd say all the time, she'd say, well, let's go out and do something after work. I say, no, I'm tired. I'm just going to get something here in the hotel, and then I'm going to go to sleep. Oh, come on. Nah, I'm tired. I'm good, but thanks. So this went on for several nights. I could tell she was getting a little irritated, and I was trying to figure out, what I should say. After all, she's the owner's sister-in-law, the owner's wife's sister. And anyway, there was one night when, and we were in Seattle, and there was one night that I wanted to go see a movie. And so I had the rental car keys, so I took the car and went to the movie. So the next morning, I'm in the lobby, and I was waving good morning, and she came storming in, man. She was a redhead, and she was red, man. Her face was red. She was pissed. And she comes up to me and she goes, I said, good morning. She said, where were you last night? I said, well, what do you mean? She said, I went out in the parking lot and the rental car was gone. Where'd you go? And I said, well, to be honest with you, I went to a movie. She goes, what'd you see? And I told her. She said, I want to see that movie. Why didn't you ask me to go? I said, well, Valerie, here's the deal. And I could have said a number of things. I could have said, you're right. Tomorrow night we'll go see a movie, any movie you want to go see. And I'm sorry. I could have said that. I could have said, whenever you want to use the rental car, go ahead. I don't care. It's in my name, but we could fix that when we travel. That's fine. But she said, well, why don't we just go to the movie? So I made up my mind a long time ago, if you remember. So I said, you know what, Valerie? Here's the deal. Although I enjoy working with you, I was kind of fudging a little bit because she kind of creeped me out. And whenever I smell her perfume every once in a while, because she wore so much, it's like, but anyway, she said, I said, here's the deal, Valerie. I enjoy working with you, but I'm married and I'm not comfortable socializing with you after hours. And I'm sorry if that bothers you, but that's the way it's going to be. And she thought about that for a minute. I don't know if she'd ever heard that before, because after all, she was, Skanky Valery. And she goes, oh, okay, I can respect that. And I said, great, I'm so glad. And so we continued in this work relationship, and I didn't have to worry about it anymore. It was great. Should have done that from the start. And there's a lesson in there, people, about trust and being faithful. If you want to see how close you can get to that edge, boy, you can get right on that edge. But I'm going to tell you something. People that go on that edge are going to fall off sometimes. Guaranteed. Because they're not watching where they're going. They're distracted by what they're seeing on the sideline, and they're going to fall. All right. So now fast forward. And now we're getting a new vice president of sales, and we're going to meet him in Chicago for this big show. And he's from Chicago, and apparently he's a big wig in business. One of the top rated recruiting guy for that kind of a job in the country. And so we were going to meet him there. So we got there, we set everything up. I got there early, and a few others did. And we set it all up. We had a huge display, huge, very impressive. because we had some of the top buyers in the country coming. We had Sam's, and we had Costco, and we had Price Club, and we had Target, and we had Home Depot, and we had Petco and PetSmart, and all the big ones. And back east, they have a lot of very large pet distributors that distribute to all the little mom and pop shops. So anyway, the first day comes along, and I thought our new boss's name was, I'm just going to say it, his name was Romy. Such a weird name, Romy. It sounds suspicious, doesn't it? Romy, like, uh-oh, this guy's going to be roaming around or something. So we're going to meet Romy. Well, I thought he'd come the first day because that's when all the bigwigs are there. And he'd want to meet the top customers. Didn't show up. And he's from there. Next day, still a lot of the majors are there. He didn't come. 8 to 5, nowhere to be seen. Third day, that's when the distributors come in and all the bigwigs are gone. He still wasn't there. Fourth day, the last day of the show, he comes in about 10 a.m. and goes, hey guys, no, about noon or later. He says, hey guys, I'm Romy. I'm your new VP of sales, and I'm going to take you guys out on the town tonight. We are going to have a blast. He says, I know all the best clubs in town. We're going to go out for a great dinner. I know the owner of this great Italian restaurant, and we're going to go out and see the sights, man. We're going to have a great time. And I thought, oh boy, I'm not sure if he's going to like me very much. But anyway, okay, nice to meet you and all that. So he comes back at 5, and we follow him in the van, and I had the keys. I was driving the van for the company that we rented. We follow him to this restaurant, and we go in, and he's personal friends with the owner. And everyone starts kind of drinking a little bit after hours, whatever. I didn't. I had my Diet Coke. And the more he drank, the more inebriated he became. And he started talking about how he was going to change the company and how the two owners brought it to this point, but they really weren't smart enough to take it to the next level. And he was going to do that. And he was going to make us all this money. And the owners were great, but he was the guru of sales, and he was going to take our company over the top. So I'm listening to this guy, and I'm thinking, this is BS. This guy doesn't know these owners. They started selling out of pickup trucks on weekends. And now they have a $35 million company, $40 million company. And this guy thinks he's going to show them what to do? When we were on a tight budget, and we stayed at little Marriotts and we got mid-sized rental cars and stuff. We had meal budgets. These guys were sharp. They weren't frivolous about expenses. So anyway, he starts getting out of hand, and he starts getting a little rude. And so we get to the table. He's had to go to the bathroom a few times because he's drank so much. And we start eating, and he's rude to the server. And finally, the owner comes to our table and says, you know what, Romy, if you don't apologize to the waiter, I'm going to have to ask your party to leave. Now, I don't know about you, but I have never had that happen to me before. I mean, one time I got like a rusty nail in my fish taco in San Diego, and all I did was take it up there and I said, I don't think this is part of your ingredients. Maybe I shouldn't have to pay for the taco, that kind of thing. But he was rude, and he was showing off, and he was just an a-hole. And so he apologized to the waiter, and we started eating, and he's drinking some more. And he says, okay, I got to go to the bathroom one more time. When I come back, we're going to go hit the town. He goes, I know the best clubs. We're going to have an all-nighter. We're going to have a great time. So he leaves. So I tell everybody, there's probably half a dozen people at the table. Now, meanwhile, we had also hired the owner's sister. Let's call her Sally. So we have Sally and Valerie and me and Romy and some others. And so when Romy takes off, I say, okay, everybody, listen, I got the van keys. When he comes back, I'm going to thank him for dinner, and I'm going to excuse myself. I'm tired. We worked 10 hours today. I'm going to go to bed. we got an early day tomorrow and a full day, and I'm not going out on the town. Oh, come on, Jim. Don't be such a pooper. You can, come on. You'll have some fun. I go, that's not fun to me. What's fun is to eat a little something, and then we're eating here and go get, a little ice cream cone or something, watch some ESPN and go to bed. So he comes back. And I tell him, I said, you know what, Romy, thanks for the dinner. Very nice. Nice to meet you. Look forward to working with you. I was all professional as I could. I said, but you know what? I'm tired. I've got the rental van and I'm going to go back to the hotel. I'm really tired and we got a big day tomorrow. He goes, oh, come on, man. Don't be a jerk. Come on out with us. Come on. Yeah, come on, Jim. I said, you know what? I'm not going. Thank you, but I'm going to respectfully decline. I'm going to go back to the room. So I fall asleep. Now remember, there's no cell phones. At about 2:30 in the morning, my phone rings. Now, back in the day before cell phones, when teens are, texting all night and all morning, and I'll be honest, every once in a while when I wake up and I can't go back to sleep, I'll check out a little Instagram and go down that rabbit hole. But anyway, my phone rings in the hotel room. And I kind of woke up, hello, who died? Who's dead? Who died? When someone called at 2:30 in the morning, it wasn't good news. It was not good news. I figured somebody in my family died. So it wasn't anyone from my family. It said, the voice on the other side said, Jim, it's Sally. I go, Sally, it's 2:30 in the morning. What the heck? She goes, after you left, we went to these clubs and we were dancing and stuff. And Romy and Valerie started dancing together and they were all over each other. And on the dance floor. Now, mind you, everybody, this is the first time that our VP of sales is meeting the sales staff. And this is the owner's sister-in-law. She goes, what should we do? And I said, well, what do you want to do, Sally? Do you want to go down there and knock on her door and see what's going on? Because I sure as hell don't. She goes, well, no, of course not. I said, look, they're two consenting adults. We can't do anything about it. She said, should I call my brother, the owner of the company? I said, I wouldn't call him. What's he going to do about it? There's nothing you can do. He's just going to get all fired up. They're consenting adults. Go to sleep. We'll deal with this tomorrow. It's the middle of the night. Okay, all right. So the next morning, we get up, we meet in the lobby. Everybody's there except for, Romeo took off because he lived there. He didn't stay the night, but Valerie wasn't there. So we waited, and finally we had to get over to the expo, so we took off. We got over there, 10 a.m., 11 a.m., noon. She's still not there. So Sally, the owner's sister, said, I got to go let's call him Arnie. I got to go call Arnie, my brother, and tell him what's going on. We had to call several times a day. He wanted to see what's going on, which is fine. So she went and called him. She came running back like 2 minutes later. She goes, Jim, Arnie wants you to call him right now. Right now? Yes. I said, did you tell him about what went on last night? Well, yeah. He's my brother. I had to. And I said, I don't blame you. I just wanted to know. So I went over and I called him. He goes, Jim. Yeah. Hey, Arnie, what's up? What's up? I'll tell you what's up. You know what's going on. What the heck? What happened? I said, I have no idea, man. I went after dinner. All I can tell you is he's rude and he drank too much. I don't have any respect for the guy. But hey, you hired him. I'll work with him. But I don't have any respect for him. He got drunk on his first night. And apparently some shenanigans went on last night that I'm not aware of. You'll have to ask him. I was in bed asleep. And then he said this interesting question. He said, well, what should I do? Now here's this multimillionaire, extremely successful guy. And why is he asking me, a big whoop, national sales manager, several tiers above me, Why do you ask me? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because he trusted me. He knew that I would never misrepresent him or his beliefs or his philosophy on business, because I told him that when I was hired, and I meant it. So he goes, what should I do? And I said, what do you mean, like now? And he goes, yes, now. He was dead. Yes, right. I go, right now? Yes, right now. I said, well, I'd probably fire him. Fire him? Right now? Fire him? I go, yeah, I fire him. I said, you know what? I can tell you something. This is not the guy you want. I know right now, I can tell you. And I wasn't brown-nosing. I didn't want the job. I was traveling too much as it was. I said, this is not the guy you want. He's not going to represent you well. You're going to have problems with him. He's got a huge ego, and he drinks, and he has no respect for your company. How could he, the way he behaved on our first night? Yeah, fire him. Fire him. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fire him. I got to go. Bye. So I hung up, and I kind of chuckled. I thought it was kind of funny, and I went back, and Sally goes, what happened? What happened? What happened? And still no Valerie in the booth, you know. I go, well, apparently he's going to fire Romeo. And fire him? Well, he's your brother. It's his company. So anyway, we got done with the show. We got back to California, and Romy was fired on the spot that morning, and he had a box of stuff, this little box of stuff by the front door. And when he came in, he had an office, but he was only there for like when he met with the owners and signed his contract. He had a little box at the front door, probably his little fern plant, and his super duper trophies of Mega Man sales dude. And the security guard escorted him in, got his box, and he was on his way, never to be heard of again, at least by me. And it was pretty funny because, you know, severance pay, he signed a contract, so the owners had to pay, I'm sure, several $100,000 to get rid of him. So it was a costly mistake. And I was talking to the owners afterward, and I said, you know, guys, I got to ask you, why? Couldn't you see the signs? Weren't there any red flags? Nope, nope. All the headhunters said he was the top guy in the country. And then one of the owners said, well, you know what? There was one red flag. Now, can you guess what that is? One red flag? I bet you can. He had a reputation for being an alcoholic, but he told us that he was all dried out and he had stopped drinking. And well, that was kind of a costly mistake. But anyway, good riddance, and that was that. I ended up leaving the company because I wanted to travel less. My oldest son was 14, and I was either going to be a dad or I wasn't. I took about a 60% pay cut and started teaching school. And I never had one regret. And for years, when I went to the airport and saw people in suits running around with a briefcase, I had to laugh. When I first saw them, I kind of started shuddering. Like, oh, that is awful. It brings back memories. But then after a while, I could just sit there and smile and look at them as I was reading my book and going on vacation with my family. So, look, here's the deal. Trust is something that you have to earn. You can't fake. But trust is one of the great virtues in life. And if people will trust you, and you young people listen to this, you will be offered opportunities to grow in business, to get opportunities for advancement, because they know that they can depend on you and that you will represent them honorably, and you will not be dishonest. And you will not steal from them, and you will have integrity. And those are so important, and you can't fake it. So what I'm challenging you to do is to have integrity, to have honor, to be trustworthy with your friends, with your teachers, with your fellow employees, with your employers, with God. Be honorable. And I hope you'll never forget that. I've got another story coming up probably tomorrow, but I'll keep them rolling. You take care, and don't be skanky, all right? We'll see you.